High school for many was not a fun time, filled with constant stress and pressure to do well from your parents, to not be seen as an outcast among your classmates, to fit in. For many, bullying was a constant struggle at school, but when coming home to a safe environment, we were able to switch off from the constant judgment and be transported into another world with the comfort of video games. An escape from reality as we become our favourite gaming characters. But as video games have progressed and evolved throughout the years, the lines between the virtual world and reality begin to close. We see a closer reflection of real life being showcased in our games, heavier topics being explored. And now that we've moved on from high school, Lost Judgment gives players a way to reflect and relate to an issue found all over the world. With the release of Yakzua Like a Dragon, we saw the Yakzua series take a dramatic shift in its gameplay style. What once was a real-time action JRPG had become that of turn-based, a risky gamble that paid off immensely, bringing in new fans and audiences with the new main character, Ichiban. But when it came time to create a sequel to the critically acclaimed spin-off Judgment, RadioSEGA Studios decided to stick with the traditional beat-em-up action to allow both gameplay styles to thrive side by side. But having to develop two separate gameplay mechanics could potentially be a hindrance, not allowing either to expand and evolve. That's not the case. Lost Judgment takes everything from the previous title along with some aspects from Like a Dragon and creates what is without a doubt RadioSEGA Studios' best game yet. Set in 2021, a rotting corpse is found in an abandoned building in Ijincho. Maggots crawling all over the decrepit body, firefighters horrified at the sight they have just witnessed. At the same time in Tokyo, Akihiro Ihara is being tried for his involvement in a sexual harassment incident. And as the verdict is laid down upon him, he reveals something that drives the story of the game. He is aware of the rotting body in Ijincho, and identifies him as Hiro Mikoshiba, a young student teacher that Ihara had a personal grudge against. Confused and shocked by the connection, Genda Law offers put our main character Yugami to work. How are these two cases connected? And did Ihara have something to do with the killing of Mikoshiba? Yugami then finds himself getting deeper down the rabbit hole as he becomes a consultant at the school Mikoshiba taught, uncovering the troubled history of bullying within the school. The plot of this game is masterfully done, not holding back on the themes and issues it wishes to address, such as bullying and suicide. That being said, if you are sensitive to topics such as these, I would highly recommend treading carefully with the game, or potentially even skipping out on this one. But if you wish to experience what can only be said as one of the best crime drama storylines in gaming, there is no better choice than Lost Judgment. With some of the most engaging and interesting characters you will see from the world of Kamurocho, there are plenty of heart-wrenching moments and comedic quips that will have you remember these set of characters for years to come.
そんなわけないじゃん。それよりこのスマホちょっと汚れてない？貸してみ。
And just like any other RGG game, there are plenty of side stories, or cases in this case, that lighten the mood from the intense main story. Taking up cases from the street, through the Buzz research app that has you searching through social media posts to find current misdoings, or through the new school stories that sees you consult for the school's mystery research club, getting behind the truth of school drama and helping out in the dance club or robotics club here and there. Oh, and then there's the detective dog, of course. As always, these side missions are filled with comedic elements and great storytelling, which only occasionally overstay their welcome with dragged on dialogue. Though I was too hooked to the main storyline to complete many of these extra cases. However, I'm looking forward to going back in the premium adventure to continue to help the people of Kamurocho and Yokohama. First seen in Yakzua Like a Dragon, Yokohama returns in Lost Judgment, along with the series staple Kamurocho. both jam-packed with extra things to do, such as the Yakuza mainstays like baseball, golf and darts, to the now Judgment mainstays of drone racing, a House of the Dead-esque game, and Motor Raid found within the Club Sega arcades. Also within these arcades is Super Hang-On, Space Harrier, Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, which I was surprised to see after the recent release of Ultimate Showdown, Fighting Vipers, and a welcome new addition, Sonic the Fighters. A variety of Sega Master System games are also available to play at Yagami's office, which is a great little addition. Though quite a lot of the side games, however, are hidden behind side quests, so I unfortunately did miss out on a variety of them, but it will reward those who go out of their way to see more of the game. Meanwhile, at the school located in Yokohama, there are a variety of side games you can play, such as a rhythm minigame in which you build up the school's dance team, a boxing game similar to the boxing event found in the Olympic video games, and finally a robot combat game, which I wish was a bit more like Robot Wars and BattleBots. In the original Judgment, unfortunately the trailing missions were the weakest part of the game. Slow, clunky, and not particularly fun. Though in Lost Judgment, RGG Studios have completely reworked it into a much more enjoyable experience, seamlessly hiding behind walls and cars, being able to seem inconspicuous by checking your phone, and even throwing coins to distract thugs where need be. This is first shown off brilliantly in the opening prelude to the game, which does a fantastic job at introducing all the mechanics you will see throughout your experience. Even the investigate segments of the game that were originally rather confusing have been adapted to be more accessible, allowing stuck players to be given hints on where they need to go to progress. One new aspect of traversal, while a nice new addition, could have used a bit more time being fleshed out, and that is the climbing mechanics, which, while it does the job, does feel a little clunky and slow, which is a bit disappointing to see when other series like Assassin's Creed has been doing it at a high standard for over 10 years now. Something not slow, however, is the ability to be able to skate through Kamurocho and Yokohama to your heart's content, a riveting new way to explore these cities with ramps and rail grinds scattered throughout the cities. Combat is an important part of any RGG game, whether that be the traditional beat-em-up style or the new turn-based mechanics, and with Lost Judgment, the beat-em-up format has never looked and played better. The fluidity of punches and combos is something unlike any other action game. You take control of one of three main styles. Tiger, a precise fighting style used for single target takedowns due to its power and ability to break guards. The Snake style, a counter-based fighting style that uses an opponent's flow of energy against them. And finally, the Crane style, a flashy fighting style with long range and area of effect moves, best used for enemies in a group. Though mainly sticking to the Tiger style will be all you really need for the majority of the game, only switching to the others very rarely. It would have been great to see more moments where the other styles were necessary, but the Tiger style was just so satisfying, I didn't mind sticking with it for the majority of the game. For someone who became absolutely hooked onto the main story, I completed the game in around 18 hours, only stopping to do a few side cases and extra activities here and there. But for someone looking to complete most of the side missions, you can see that time tripling, if not more. Playing the game on the Xbox Series S, you have the option of Performance or Resolution mode. I stuck with Performance, which did result in some shimmering of further away objects, but it did allow for a silky smooth 60 frame per second experience. Though if you value graphics more, the Resolution mode boosts the visual fidelity in favour of 30 frames per second. The game is dubbed in both Japanese and English, and while I stuck with the absolutely fantastic Japanese dub, the returning English voice actors are also a great cast, so that will just come down to your own personal preference.
The shadows of truth escape the courtroom, and when they do, someone has to drag them back into the light. The reality is, the law is neither as perfect or as fair as it's supposed to be. So I've made it my job to give those without a voice a chance to be heard.
And it wouldn't be RadioSEGA without at least discussing a bit of the soundtrack. I always found the original Judgment to have a standout OST out of all the other Yakuza games, and Lost Judgment is no exception. Some brilliant new battle music is found throughout, suspenseful music during key moments, and slower somber tracks that really add some emotional punch where necessary. And don't get me started on the theme of the game, an absolute banger. highly suggest giving the OST a listen to when it drops. Lost Judgment is the peak of the Yakuza world so far, with only a few nitpicks holding it back, such as the clunky climbing mechanics and some recycled content. But these small setbacks cannot ruin what is a masterclass in storytelling and beat-em-up combat, two things that have been progressively fine-tuned and perfected with every game. So if Lost Judgment is this good, I can't wait to see what RGG Studios has in store next.
長いこと暗い道を歩いていると、この先もずっと暗いもんだと思っちまう。前に進むことが嫌になる。自分の道がこの先どうなってるか分かってるやつなんてこの世に一人もいねえ。俺らにできるのは立ち止まって泣くか、一歩でも前に進むかの二つだけだ。あんたはどっちでも好きな方を選んでいい。入り口までは俺が案内してやる。